Actually, it's part 2 of the same number, ST17. ST17 is a double volume. So this is part 2. Or this is called 17b, chapter 8a. In fact, this volume is the thickest one also. This volume alone is 230 pages. And you find lots of A's and B's and so on. Whenever you see A and B, that means these are afterthoughts. I start with number A and you write about consciousness, and I find out, I've got to write something extra so you can B. Consciousness is a very big topic. One of the most important topics that the scientists or the mind scientists are discussing today. Discussing a very big revolution, which is now slowly coming to Singapore. If you go to the NIH, especially this National Institute of Mental Health, when they treat people, very often they would also use meditation, some kind of, they call it mindfulness practice, various names. So Buddhist meditation is becoming a mainstream method, if you like. And not just any meditation, by the way. It's the kind of meditation you and I do every day. Same exact meditation, breath, mindfulness. Of course, there are other varieties, but these two, they are found to be the most effective. Breath meditation, loving kindness meditation. Of course, the scholars are very good with words, so they come up with some very interesting new terms, which can be quite helpful in our understanding of this very ancient wisdom. This is why we say ancient wisdom, modern science. There's one book I have that I want to title. For example, breath meditation has been called things like breath work. And then the loving kindness, something like openness of the heart, or unconditional love, and so on. So there are many terms like this. And the different psychologists who are very imaginative will introduce their own very imaginative terms to copyright those terms. The Buddha, of course, wants to them. But that's the way these modern technologies go. In fact, people like Sam Harris, some of these modern commentators, writers, thinkers, they are very sympathetic to Buddhism. And they feel that Buddhism should be meaningful to everyone. They have this very interesting idea, and I think any thinking Buddhist, any informed Buddhist wouldn't object. They say that Buddhism teaches impermanence, suffering, non-self, and if all these things are true, by the very fact, it is not Buddhist. It's a very interesting argument. You know what I mean? I mean, it's universal. If the Buddha says these truths are universal, they are not merely Buddhist truths. I think this is what the Buddha intended in the first place anyway. He didn't use the word Buddhism, he used the word Dharma, and Dharma with a small d. Later on, of course, we put a big D, we talk about early Buddhism, because there are later Buddhism, and so on. So, impermanence, for example, is no religion. Impermanence is a basic truth. So, but, of course, it's the Buddha. We must not forget, it's the Buddha who declared these teachings. So that is the wonderful thing, So in that sense, we can still use the word Buddhism in a sense of early Buddhism. That's the way I use early Buddhism anyway. And that is why I like to say, if you really study early Buddhism, you find it everywhere. If any religion speaks something true, sooner or later they're addressing Buddhism anyway. When you talk about impermanence, for example. So this scholar, Buddhist scholar, he says that, in that case, why can't we promote Buddhism like science? The science we have today, take physics for example. Modern physics started with Newton. But Newton's idea was to use physics to prove Christianity. So in a sense, we can say the Christians started physics. And the Arabs, they were very good at algebra, astronomy. So the roots of algebra is in Islam. So you got Christian physics, Islam, algebra, but no one today thinks in those terms. If a scientist were to talk in those terms, people would just say, oh, this person is misinformed. Right? So we no more kind of look at the religious aspect of this scientific truth. So similarly, in Buddhism, what he's saying is that there come a time when people will say, yes, impermanence, anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is universal, but they will not think of it in terms of religious truth the way the sectarian Buddhists would, which is interesting. Of course, then we begin to ask, does Buddhism become relevant or not? Well, we've got to work hard to make sure we are relevant by talking the way we're talking now about the suttas. Because sooner or later they want to know where did this come from, what are the details, and that is something unlike other religions. Because when the Buddha talks about this truth, you find it very interesting, very relevant, and the effect can be felt even today. Whether you believe in the religion or not. It's just like whether you believe there's air around you or not, you still have to breathe. Whether you believe in impermanence or not, it still works. Right? So this is the power of the Dharma. So this person said, what can we use a term like contemplative science, which is a very interesting term. Contemplative science. Because look at meditation in scientific terms. Using all those machines, you can measure meditation, you can know whether you're meditating or not. So the new meditation teacher might be a robot, who's able to measure your brain waves and tell you exactly which part of your brain is not working well, and then maybe zap something there. Of course, I try to think of that, because if that happens, then we have dehumanized Buddhism, right? Of course, some ideas about contemplative science are very interesting, because science shows that meditation works. Consciousness is measurable according to science. But I feel ultimately we still want to take meditation as an art rather than a science. Or better still, you can say you have two choices. You can choose either meditation as a science or meditation as an art. Up to you. As an art, it gives you beauty, joy, peace. Alright? As a science, you don't need to be religious. If you're not sure, the scientist can show you how the mind works, how meditation works. So in that sense, we find both ways is a win-win situation for Buddhism anyway. So we should not give up Buddhism, not at all. It's just that we have a new ally in science. We have a better vocabulary, better way of talking, but we must be very careful not to turn Buddhism into Buddhism scientism, or one day you have Buddhist science like Christian science. Christian science has reached Singapore, So there you are. We've become a very successful materialistic society with the presence of Christian science. So we do want another Buddhist science, so we've got Buddhist Scientologists. That's another interesting area. So when we talk about meditation, when we talk about mental cultivation, we also talk about consciousness. This is our topic here. This is a fifth aggregate, consciousness. So once again, if you are just for the sake of recapitulation, let's look at this slide again. These are the habitants for the five aggregates. Form. Rupa is form, Vedana is feeling, Sanya, perception, Sankara, formations, Vijnana, consciousness. Right? Now form is the body, Rupa. Rupa is the noun, the verb is Rupati, meaning to change, which changes. In fact, everything here changes. So the body, we can look in different ways. For example, we can see the body as the five senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. We can also look at the body as the four elements: earth, water, fire, wind. So depending what you want to talk about. So there are different suttas emphasizing different aspects of form. So this is the one. Today we will look at form as the five senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. Okay? In other words, the word body has got two senses. One meaning is the physical body, with which we feel contact, touch, and another word, body, meaning it's a collective term. Then number two, Vedana, feeling. Right? Since we have a body, we feel. If you sit too long, you feel tired. If you stand too long, you feel tired too. So we have feelings. Right? And why do we feel? We feel because of our body. We don't just feel, we also say pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. And then we decide, I like this, I don't like this, or I don't care about this. That's because of perception. How we connect ideas, how we recognize, I like this feeling, or I don't like that feeling, is through association with the past. Perception. Not too bad in itself, but when you start applying the three negative roots, you say, I don't like this, that is hatred, hate, second unwholesome root. Or you say, I love this, I want more of this, that's the first unwholesome root, lust. Or you don't know what it is, you just ignore it, right? That's delusion. So the three roots are involved in the formation. Another word for karma, if you like. And all this happens in the background of consciousness. Consciousness is the stage, if you like. So today we will look at what is consciousness. It's unclear. Consciousness is, in simply put, consciousness is the activity of the six senses. The five physical senses and the mind. Okay? This is the mind. So look at the hardware, vijnana, jnana, jnana is the root word for knowledge. Right? The root word, the root is jnana. To know, that's jnana. Sanya also, the root word jnana here comes from the same, to know. Here, sun is very similar to the Latin con, or con, to combine. Combine what we know, put together, a synthesis. So that's sometimes others consider as perception. In other words, for example, you see this color, you say, oh, okay, I know this color, it's purple, because you put together an idea in your mind, you have seen this color before, and then your mind recognizes it, you say it's purple. You perceive it as purple. Okay? So you put together this idea and you conclude it's purple. Whereas jnana, jnana means knowledge, and we here means you analyze it. So it's kind of analytical. So this analytical awareness is this syntactical awareness. So this vijnana is a general awareness. For example, you say, oh, this is very colorful. You go back home, you say, yeah, there was this very colorful diagram on the body, forgot the exact colors. You can't remember this was red and this line is purple. That is just kind of, you are conscious of this. So this is kind of a surface knowledge. When you get up in the morning, the first thing is you might ask yourself, am I awake or am I in a dream? Right? And so you're like, oh yes, I'm breathing, I can feel. Or you might pinch yourself, then you become more aware. When you say you become more aware, that means the senses are activated one by one. It's very interesting if you ask ourselves, what is the first sense that is activated when you wake up? Normally, if you have an alarm, it's sound. The alarm goes off, so your hearing is activated. And then, actually, to be more technically correct, it's the mind that is activated, you see. What happens is this impulse hits your ear and it hits the mind, and then you wake up. See? Or sometimes, like my kids, we have to kind of shake them, hey, get up, you have to go to school. So it's a physical thing, you kind of touch the body, or sometimes you can just open your eyes and say, oh, it's bright, right? So you can have a sense, so you can activate. vision, and so on. Taste unlikely, because if someone usually put toothpaste in the mouth of our colleagues who can when they were young, the person still didn't wake up, so not very helpful. Nose, smell again, not so strong. So main ones are eye, body, ear. Right? So we kind of activate, we become active again through our consciousness. Okay? Now, so once you are conscious, you are aware of different kinds of stimuli through the five senses, especially five physical senses, that's our body. And our world begins to function again. So in Buddhism, we don't just talk about consciousness. The Buddha says that our world are these five senses and the mind, six senses. And their respective consciousnesses. Eye, there is eye consciousness. Ear consciousness. Nose, consciousness. Tongue consciousness. Body consciousness. And of course, there is mind consciousness also. So, how does this arise? So, we have another diagram. So, we start from here. This is the faculty. Okay? So, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body is each a faculty. Or to be more complete, we say sense faculty. Or internal base. Ajanta. In Pali it's called internal sense, if you like. This you have eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Okay? And this is the external senses, or we call them sense object. Internal sense, external sense. So here will be form, sound, smell, taste, touch. Right? So, and then this is the attention, the mindfulness or consciousness that attends the action. Is the theory, okay? Now, let's take an example. Because you're looking at me now, right? So let's take example. The eyes are on me, and you can see me on the video. Alright? You see this like that? Yeah. So, and assuming that you are looking this way, you're looking at me, you're seeing an image of me, and you are paying attention. Or I'm here. Right? So the object is here, and you also pay attention. Then you say, oh, okay, it's this speaker name so and so, right? So these three things are connected, and it's called contact. So you have eye consciousness, vision or visual object, eye consciousness, eye contact. So you have become aware of seeing something. This is very precise, right? Now what's interesting here, you're looking at me in the video, it's something else, you know? You're looking at an image of me, it's not me. But it's a mental image, so it is a different kind of situation. So it will be your mind working, but we won't go into the detail at this point. Assuming that the video of me you're looking at now is a real person, okay? So there is contact, passa. Here contact means the action gets moving, happens. There is seeing, so you can say there is seeing here, okay? Now when there is seeing, there is feeling. You don't just see things. You value added. In Singapore, everything is value added. Seeing also value added. Okay? You see it, you say, oh, I like this, I don't like this, or I don't care about this. Alright? That's feeling. So in other words, here, what is left out here is perception, you know? I mean the term. So this is another model. Okay? This is what's called the traveling model, dependent arising model. So combining the five predicates model and the dependent arising model. Okay? So here you want to know how do I feel, why do I feel that way, and you bring in the model of perception, value based. So here I feel something nice, something painful, something neutral. craving arises. Craving applies to all three. Because craving here is a blanket term. Of course, we begin by saying craving refers to an attraction, a drive towards pleasure, if you like. But the same drive towards pleasure means there are some things you push away that you don't like. Something that you pull towards you like, something you don't like, you push away. It's just a push-pull effect. If you like something, by that very same token, there are other things you do not like. If you like A, that means you would not like a lot of not A. You know what I mean? Yeah? So that's how we define liking, not liking. For example, you say, I want this, but you probably something else. So you didn't bring what I like, so I don't like this. You know? So there's this kind of very natural human tendency. But suppose you bring me something I do not see you, I do not know what it is, so I do not know how to react. I just go blur, as I say in Singapore. We just don't react, there's no feeling, we ignore it. Right? Like for example, you see someone you do not know this person, you say, no, I don't know this person, you ignore the person. So these are three ways of reacting on account of craving, or still craving. Why? Because when you say, I like this, I desire this, you reinforce the latent tendency of lust. In other words, the roots of greed is strengthened. When you say, I hate this, then you reinforce the roots of hate, second latent tendency, or the second unwholesome root. Okay? And you say, I don't know what this is, so I ignore it. Then you reinforce the latent tendency of ignorance. These are the three very basic latent tendencies. And on the pre-conscious level, they are called greed, hate, delusion. So you begin to understand here, 2,500 years ago, the Buddha is talking about this whole, our mind, how it works, our personality, our behavior, why it's like that. And more importantly, what we can do about it. The language is very clear. Unlike the modern Indian gurus today who say, everything can, everything this, everything that, and you do not know what you're talking about. Or the Buddha is very clear and precise when he teaches this mental teachings, mind teachings. So any question on this is clear enough. Yeah? So this is something important, so you need to reflect on it occasionally. Now, when we talk about consciousness, we are aware. And this awareness can grow, can change, can evolve. And as babies, that's what happens to us. We have some very basic awareness, and then slowly our awareness of things become deeper, wider. If you have time to just reflect, when you are a child, can you remember the first time you are conscious of anything? Toys. Our parents would buy colorful toys, mobile toys, right? Which are big enough that we don't swallow them, right? And these are very, very important, Toys help the child to become more aware of the external world, become more conscious. Otherwise, the child is always inward looking. And at first, the child might not even be aware that these objects are actually separate from the child. But the child may think that if he closes his eyes, the thing doesn't exist, something like that. So these are very interesting perceptions we have. So in this connection, it is meaningful for us to examine the way we are conscious on different levels. I've used three common English words, although they may sound technical, used in other systems. It's very important when you study Buddhism, which is 2,100 years old. We use modern English terms, which are already being used by some other psychological systems, especially psychodynamics and other classical theories of psychology. Words like conscious, pre-conscious, subconscious, even unconscious. We just have to forget how it is used in other fields. Just we have to find out how is it defined in Buddhism. Okay? So I have drawn a diagram, given a diagram here on the iceberg diagram, the cloud diagram. page 17, 6.1, okay? If you turn to page 17, figure 6.1. If you can see this is the diagram here, okay? And this is one of the new diagrams I've drawn. So, the mind, at the top you see is the mind, and you have three clouds, belief, hate, delusion, right? Of course, the cloud actually should be at the bottom roots, but here they're taken as clouds. No? Now, pre-conscious means you think about it before you act. You don't show publicly what's going on, but you think about it. Just like, let's say you come here, so there's a temple, so I have to walk a bit more calmly, talk a bit more quietly, right, and so on. So the aspect of you is conscious, you're doing conscious, but you don't tell people about it. Okay? Conscious is, when I look at you, I know what you're doing, or you know what I'm doing. We are mutually conscious of each other. And then there is the subconscious, that is what is reborn. What is reborn. Okay? And I use the word unconscious to refer to the latent tendencies. So there you can see all the terms here. Alright? Now what is tricky here is that in the Buddhist text, sometimes the Buddha uses three words, Chitta, Mano, Vijnana, in the same sentence, referring to the mind. So this is where you have three words referring to the mind. Okay? This is all in the book. If you read carefully, it's all given there. In fact, the article starts with that statement. This chapter starts with that statement. Let me show you page 2, 1.2. In many occurrences of the term vijnana in the early suttas, we see views generally to refer to self-awareness or reflexive consciousness. Okay, there are three suttas. Look at the first example. Asutta Sutta 1, page 2. Okay, you got it? Page 2, under 1.2. The sutta says, but bhikshus, as regard that which is called. Now, I'm going to change this word to thought, but it's not reversal, so change the word mind to thought, okay? And after that, cancel meditation, thought, put the word mind, okay? Which is called thought and mind, mano. Thought is chitta, mano is mind, and then consciousness, vijnana. The untutored worldling is unable to experience revulsion towards it, unable to become dispassionate towards it, and be liberated from it. What is the reason for this? Meaning, what is the cause of suffering? Because for a long time, this has been held, cherished, and grasped by him thus. This is mine, this I am, this is myself. Therefore, the untutored worldling is unable to experience revulsion towards it, unable to become dispassionate towards it, and be liberated from it. So here, the source of suffering, so to speak, is defined in different words. The source of suffering is because we identify with our consciousness. We suffer because we identify with our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. People sometimes like to say, this is what I am. I can't change independently. That leads to suffering. All the five senses and the mind are changing all the time. So if you do not understand this, and you think that these things are permanent, this is what I am what I see, what I hear, smell, taste, and touch, and I don't change, then suffering is going to come to you. Conversely, in terms of healing and counseling, we can use this very useful tool. I often tell my clients, people come to me for counseling, I say, if you want to get rid of your problem, start disowning the pain. In modern terminology, we can use the phrase disown the pain. Or at the start, I will tell this person after he's given me all the story about why he's suffering. I will say, "You are suffering because I often like to say, firstly, you are compassionate, you are kind. That is why you are suffering. It's neither a good or bad thing, but it shows that you are sensitive to goodness. So this is the first sign that you're on the right track. But we can't stop. Number two, you are suffering because you own the pain. You say, I am suffering. This person is hurting me. This person has broken my thing. So I need mine. When you think in those terms, pain arises. I mean, you're trying a simple experiment. The next time you are angry, instead of saying, I am angry, you just reflect. This is anger. This is anger. Notice the anger arising. Be aware of it, but don't identify with the anger. And you find the anger goes away very easily. And this applies to your daily life. Let's say you are driving. Now today's paper says the number of road rage cases are rising. People are getting angry everywhere in Singapore, even on the road. Why? One explanation is they identify with the problem. So here they are driving a car, and then this person in front is very slow, or someone cuts in and they say, why does this guy do this to me? Once you talk like that, you get upset. On the other hand, you can say, well, this is Singapore. This is the way people are, they're rushing, so let me be careful. Then you don't identify with the problem, it's not so bad. Another simple example. Someone says something bad and you get upset. Why? Because you say, oh, this was talking about me. Actually, the person is just making a remark, but because we're so used to the idea that you don't like that word, when someone says it, you say, oh, he is insulting me, or so you identify. Once you identify with it, you can have no problem. That's the meaning here, okay? So this is a very simple skill we should develop. Never own the pain. Of course, in English, we say rather weakly, we say, don't take it personally. We like to say, don't take it personally, right? But if you examine more deeply, it's better to say, don't own the pain, right? So this is the meaning, this is the one of the verses which is the locus classicus or the main source of that idea. Why should we not own the pain? Because it's changing all the time. It's moving all the time. The person who hurt us is dead and gone. It's just a memory of it. So let go of that memory, you're not hurt anymore. What we're looking at. So consciousness, in other words, is impermanent. Now, if we examine consciousness a little bit more closely, how would it look like? Okay, so now a little bit more close examination. We can see consciousness in two ways. Interestingly, very much like the way that quantum physicists look at reality. The quantum physicists talk of waves and particles. And I was amazed. I said, that's interesting. Even the early Buddhists, talk of consciousness in those terms. You can see the diagram now on the other side. Now, diagram one is often found in the suttas. In the suttas, for example, even in the Digajana Sutta, the Buddha says, even lay people like us, we should be mindful, we should meditate. Not just sitting down, but mindful in daily life. And that mindfulness is defined as observing everything that happens to us as arising and falling away. As arising and falling away. This third part is not usually mentioned in the suttas. This third part is in the commentaries. So it's rising, peaking, and falling away. This class starts at 11, and now we're kind of halfway, it's going to end, so everything goes up and down. Pleasurable things also go up and down. Painful things also go up and down. So when you apply in daily life, you find that's the reality of life. You find there's no need to get so upset with this, but it is good to learn from all this. So learning first. So consciousness can be seen as a wave. Why? Because you can only be conscious of something. And you can only be conscious of something when there is change.
If nothing changes, you cannot be aware of it. This is a very important fact. Did you realize this? If I were just to stand like that without moving like a statue, you won't make sense of me. Yeah, you may have ideas that oh, it's a statue of Piya, but I have to move, I have to talk, then I begin to make sense to you. Language is another good example. Words change, modulation of voice change. Then you begin to understand what I'm saying through the words, and then you also begin to know whether I'm joking or whether I'm sad about it through my expressions, right? So all these are changes. So what are we conscious of? Changes. It's so basic. Even ideas change. I remember, these young students, they come to me, at first they are very Theravada. They say, oh, this is only true Buddhism, And then they graduate, then after they learn Zen Buddhism. I said something, they thought I said something wrong with Zen Buddhism. They come to me seriously, so, this is not right, And then now they switch to something else, you name it, what kind of Buddhism, So nowadays, people I say, oh, I'm very appreciative of your ideas, but I think if you give yourself a bit more time, you're going to change to something else. And you can defend that even just as fervently. The point is, I've been with Buddhism all my adult life, since I was a secondary school boy. It's like 50 years, nearly 50 years. I'm 64. So imagine, during those periods, it is impossible for me to have only one mind, that's all. There will be stupidity. Stupidity doesn't change, right? But wisdom changes, right? So I started off going to the temple, saying, wow, this black Buddha in the temple, very big, good eyes, And I was terrified. I was a naughty boy. I said, this Buddha knows all the terrible things I've done. So I never walked to Center Hall. I walked on the side. So the Buddha's vision would see me. And quietly bow down, say mission 3 times, because I have to bow down anyway. And then as I grew up, hear talks of, oh, this is a statue, it means this, it means that, it live in India. So I have a more historical idea of the Buddha. And later, with the chanting, and you get to understand different kinds of Buddhism. Before that, it was so innocent, Buddhism was all the same. After that, we say, oh, there's so many kinds of Buddhism, and then we usually choose one. Even if you don't choose, you still you are partisan to all these things. And then from ideas, I have to teach Buddhism. Then I say, okay, Kuan Yin and Buddha and so on, I explain everything. Then I realized, okay, how am I going to explain Kuan Yin from a Theravada point of view? So I have to, decide what should I do. What I'm saying is, opinion of Buddhism, my view of Buddhism change as I grew older. This is a natural process of things. As you begin to understand things better, you find you don't need certain things. You let go of certain things. So now I tell myself, I don't need to see Buddhism as whatever. I mean, just Buddhism or sutras. And then I realized I don't even need Buddhism. Not the way you see Buddhism practiced all around in different temples today. I don't know if the Buddha was alive today, and you bring a tour, he would say, what's going on here? So, what is Buddhism then? Right? And we know, if you are a serious practitioner, you understand the sutta, you know one way of looking at Buddhism is letting go. When you meditate, first you let go of the body, letting at peace with your body. Then you let go of your thoughts, so that you don't get distracted. The hindrances are thoughts. When you let go of the hindrances, you let go of thoughts. Then what remains is that wonderful peace, so beautiful. Then you let go of that peace also. Then you are nirvana. So that's the meaning of that. There's a series of changes. And the most important thing we have to let go of are ideas, opinions, views. I've written a whole long article on this. The notion of ditthi. Why we got to let go of views? I really love that article. So if you want the article, write to me, I'll send it to you. It's online anyway, but still you can write to us to get the latest version. Or when I'm dead, you can contact us, looking over the notes, okay? Alright, so the next thing is you see consciousness as particles. One particle of thought moment, if you like. Now, in early Buddhism, they never spoken of thought moments. So here is the commentary idea, which is helpful in some ways. So every moment is new, very fast, super speed. This is the mind, how it works. So in a sense, you can say each of these is a thought moment. Right? So you have, this is the faculty, I, know, stand, body, mind. This is mind consciousness. So after every person, when you see, there's mind consciousness. When you hear, there's mind consciousness. When you taste, there's mind consciousness. When you touch, there's mind consciousness. If mind consciousness is not there, you won't know what's going on. You can look, but you don't see anything because of this things like that. Okay? Now you can see a more interesting diagram here. This Atom Brown gives this idea on page 11. The fruit salad, similarly, fruit salad parable if you like. So you see pineapple, 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 apple, pineapple, banana, pineapple, mango, pineapple, lemon, pineapple, and then watermelon, pineapple, and then pineapple, pineapple again. So each of these fruits represents, this is page 11, so 11. And here's the diagram. Can you see this diagram? Okay. So the apple can represent, this is on 432, fruit salad analogy. Imagine there is a plate of fruits on the table. There's nothing there at first, but there's only one fruit. First, you see apple, and then that apple disappears, you see pineapple again. And then mango appears, disappears, pineapple again. So pineapple is always standing in between, right? So when you take a movie of this and then you look at the film strip, this is what you get, figure 4. Suppose there is an apple on a plate, you see it disappear completely, and in its place, a pineapple appears. Then the pineapple disappears and a banana appears in its place. The banana then disappears and a pineapple appears again in its place. And it goes on. Then lemon, pineapple, papaya, pineapple, pineapple, pineapple. They come in pairs, by the way. If you like, you can put a semicolon after each pineapple, except the last one. Lemon, pineapple, semicolon. Papaya, pineapple, semicolon. Pineapple, pineapple, semicolon. They go in pairs like that. And then you see the diagram. So here, the apple represents eye consciousness. If you like, you can draw an eye there, instead of a fruit. Yeah. And then the banana represents ear consciousness. Okay. The mango represents nose consciousness. The tongue is a lemon. Papaya is body consciousness. You can use your own fruits, of course. Right? Or you can put actual symbols of the senses. So here the meaning is that after every action of the senses, the mind is present. In other words, what is this like? It is this one. The pineapple is this one. Okay? The other fruit is this. Okay? This is a bit of visual representation. Okay? Any questions on this?
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand this at all.
Okay. I will explain again. Yeah.
I'm quite confused about your notion about mind, consciousness, and thought. Are they the same thing?
Generally, they are the same. They overlap. I have not gone to details of the differences yet. We will in the course of this study. Okay, so just take that as a cliffhanger. Okay. Well, actually, let me be kinder to you. Look at the page 17 again. You can go back and reflect on this. The difference between the three terms on page 17. Chitta, mano, vijnana. Chitta is thought. It's your daily action of thinking.
Oh, sorry, just stop me. What's that bracket?
Where, sorry?
Next to thought. What's meant? Is that a misspelling?
Oh, mentation, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, mentation is a kind of a Latinism. That means the mind working of the mind. Meditation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the basic word is thought. Chitta can be say what you think. Right? Chitta is what you think. So just take it as thought in English. Whereas mano is mind. So mind is a bit more abstract, right? Okay. And then consciousness is even more abstract. So you can take it like that as a start. Okay? If you look at this diagram, you have some idea. And as we go along, I'll go deeper into these differences because now I'm trying to lay the groundwork, basic terms first. Okay, so coming back to this fruit salad diagram on page 11.
This is an exercise when you say you see an apple on a plate, then you see it disappear.
Oh, this is just an analogy, Ajahn Brahm's analogy. He is trying to explain how we experience things. In other words, whenever you look at something, it's not just the eye working, but the mind also must be present. If you can't remember, just remember this diagram. This part, this is the pineapple.
Yeah.
Okay? Once you think that way, it shouldn't be a problem there. The pineapple represents mind consciousness.
Right.
Behind every perception, every physical perception, whether we see, hear, smell, taste, or touch,
Right.
the mind must be behind it.
Right.
And in other words, then it is an action, conscious action.
Right. So, for example, there are a lot of things before me, but I'm only conscious of you.
Correct?
So it's like going. There are a lot of other obstacles, a lot of other objects that I'm seeing, that are registered on my retina. I see.
Okay.
But unless I've got the consciousness, I'm
Right.
not conscious that there is some kind of hi-fi there or whatever.
The simple answer would be yes.
So
You're right.
the consciousness must be there for it to register. So I could go into a room and there are about 12 things, but I only notice one thing, although my eye sees all 12 things. Is that what you mean?
No, it's not possible to see all 12 things. You see one thing. Wherever your attention is. Wherever your attention is.
Yeah, consciousness. Consciousness. Because right now, there are all these other stuff there, extinguishing. Because really, my range of vision is from there to there.
Right.
And really, strictly speaking, on my retina, all these objects will appear.
Yes.
But I'm not conscious of them because I'm not paying attention or giving my consciousness to it. So this is the mind consciousness.
So the mind chooses where it wants to
So
be.
this is the mind consciousness that you are referring to.
correct.
It's represented by the pineapple. Is that what you're saying?
For example, if your eyes are open, you look at me, but you think about something and you don't see me, although I'm here.
Right.
Also possible.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
Okay. So this is where now we look at the the very two first verses of Dhammapada, which also say the same thing, if you like. Page 12. Section 4.5.1. Okay? The very first two verses of Dhammapada, very famous verses, remember? Page 12. Right in the middle.
Yeah.
The mind precedes all mental states. The mind is supreme. Mind-made are there. If with a defiled mind one speaks or acts, suffering follows one like a wheel that dogs a draft ox's foot. Okay, this very first verse of Dhammapada. This is where some people simplify it to everything is mind-made. You have heard the saying everything is mind-made, right? But it's not so simple as that. Okay. Notice the line. The mind precedes all mental states. Here, mental states means whatever you experience from outside and then they come to you. Okay. You can also translate as the mind precedes all phenomena. Whatever you experience, your mind must be behind it. What is the mind here? Very simply, again, this one. Okay? You must be aware of it. Okay? This one. Yeah? So, in other words, now what this verse is saying that consciousness also has to do with karma. So, if there is greed, hate, or delusion there at the attention, then your action also will be unwholesome. If the mind is supreme, mind-made are there. If with a defiled mind means it has greed, hate, or delusion. The attention is greed, hate, or delusion. Then action is negative. So this is when we say something is intentional or not. Whether greed, hate, delusion is present on that level. Is that clear so far? Yeah.
So if you have bare consciousness without any of this, it's okay, right? It's not coming, so to speak.
If that is possible. It is not easy for people like us to have
Bare
no
consciousness.
thoughts at all, or even bare consciousness. We try to do that in meditation. That's why we train ourselves in meditation to see things as they are. This is called the Bahiya teaching. The Bahiya teaching, where the Buddha tells Bahiya, in what you see, there is only seeing. In what you hear, there's only hearing. In what you, all the other senses. So it's just that. This is what is called modern terms bare consciousness, especially in asana circles. Right? So in meditation, what we do is we just note it as it is, let it go. We do not act on it. Because once you act on it, once you follow it, then it explodes into 1,000 thoughts. That's called mental proliferation or papancha. A lot of thoughts or simple distraction. Okay? So take whatever arises in your mind exactly as what they are. What are they? They can only be one of 5 things at least. Whatever distracts you in meditation, it will be either sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Or, to be more technical, the thoughts of these things. So, if you do not direct your attention to these 5 things, then you have no problem. You won't be distracted. That's to go into meditation. Right? Simply take the thoughts as thinking. That's all. In other words, you take it objectively. This is where the word objective becomes very meaningful. That means simply as an object. It has come to my mind. Okay, let it come, let it go. No problem. But if you say, I like this, then it's subjective. Subjective means you value add it. You start dragging the past into it. You superimpose things with it. It's going to stay on. And while you're doing that, you're living in the past because the present will be passing by and you don't notice it. So, in a sense, you don't exist because you're not in the present moment. I'm talking to you, thinking about something else. We would like to tell people that, hey, you're not listening to me, for example. So, the presence is very important. That's why sometimes meditation is said to be present moment awareness. So, it's the connection. Okay? So everything we're talking about here, they're all interconnected and they go back to meditation. Okay? So if we think in that way negatively, if the intention has got greed or delusion, the last line says suffering follows one like a wheel that dogs a draft ox's foot. So this is the analogy of a wheel. And the animal is stuck to the cart. It has to pull this burden of karma all away. An idea of heaviness, trouble, samsara. Here the wheel has got a negative kind of connotation. Now next one is positive. If mind, notice the word mind, mano, precedes all mental states or all states, the mind is supreme, mind-made are there. If with a pure mind, one speaks or acts, happiness follows one like a shadow that leaves not. So if your mind is non-greed, non-hate, non-delusion, then you'll be happy. Non-greed, of course, is charity. And non-hate is loving kindness. Non-delusion is wisdom. Alright? You can also take non-greed as renunciation, if you like, letting go. Letting go is not just something material, it's also a mental thing. In fact, the most important thing we've got to let go of, the most important thing we have to renounce, is not our family and homes. Those in a sense are quite easy to renounce. You have to renounce your views, which are very difficult. In many ways, we are defined by our views. For example, you right now may think, oh, my opinion of this is right. Then someone says you're wrong, and I get very upset, for example. Then if I get upset, I say, oh, okay, then it's wrong view. My view is wrong view. I get upset. If I don't get upset, then there's something to learn, something good to learn. So here again, notice the analogy is the parable is a very beautiful one, almost effortless. His goodness follow you like a shadow, very natural. Shadow almost, it got no weight, right? So this is where shadow often used in a negative way, but here it's used in a positive way. Okay? Because in Pali, shadow, chaya, also means reflection. Shadow also means reflection. So in Thailand, for example, the word chaya refers to the monk's name. So when I was given the name Piya Tan, that is called chaya. That's my shadow or reflection. Chaya is reflection. Look at the water, you see chaya. Okay? So this is two very important verses. Alright, so consciousness is this natural action of our senses, and it happens in our daily life. And we understand the nature of consciousness working with the senses, and we are mindful of how our senses act upon us, then we do not allow greed and delusion to overwhelm us, we'll be happy. Okay? So I think, one more point. We're talking about the three. Look at 455. Practicing mindfulness. Right, so when we practice mindfulness, in other words, we restrain the senses. We are often told restrain the senses. Sometimes moral virtue, the precepts, are defined as sense restraint. You restrain your body by not killing. You restrain your body by not stealing, not committing adultery or sexual misconduct. And you restrain speech by not lying. Okay? And generally you've got to restrain all the senses, the whole body. The most difficult, of course, is the mind. You restrain the mind through meditation. So the best restraint is to understand that when you experience whatever sense objects around you, no greed, hate or delusion arise. That's the purpose of restraint. Holding back. Holding back, it doesn't mean not to see things. In that case, the blind will be awakened. It is whenever you see something, not to see with hate, but to see with loving kindness or compassion or joy or equanimity. Okay? That is the deeper meaning of sense restraint. Right? So this is 4.6, no? How to keep your mind happy. So that kind of completes today's syllabus. Anything I need to explain to you further? Page 8, this diagram of the formation diagram. Can you go further, you can see this dependent arising diagram. Page 8, from ignorance formations arise, then there is consciousness. So consciousness does not arise by itself. Consciousness arises through formations because our karma, in a sense, subtly and profoundly influence how we see things. What sort of things we look at, what things we like and don't like, formations. When consciousness arises, after consciousness is what? Name and form. What is that? Namarupa? Page 8. Section 3.2.1. Yeah? Notice at the top you have ignorance, and then that is avijja is ignorance. Second word sankhara, formations. From formations arises vijnana, that is consciousness. How are we conscious of things? When you meet someone for the first time, sooner or later, what is it you must ask? When you meet someone for the first time, you ask, what is your name? You want to know the person's name. Imagine you meet this person, very important person, you don't know his name at all, you feel very uncomfortable. Right? We want to know the person's name. Why? That's how you remember the person. Otherwise you have to use a litany of descriptions. That guy, tall like this, hair like that. And so it's very difficult. Right? So there's a name, Mr. A. And then once I say A, vision appears in my mind. Okay, the guy looks like this. We may or may not be correct, of course, but that's our perception of this person. That is the form. The name creates a form in our minds. So consciousness leads to name and form. Name and form. You can't have form without a name. We just can't work with that. We always like to give names to things. And the names we give to things are very private. That's the way we look at things, name and form. These are not real things, these are just constructed things. And once you have this name and form, then your six senses begin to act. You begin to see, smell, taste, touch in that connection. If you see the child development, it's easier. This little baby has no sense of, the five senses are not there. They're not born with it when I'm speaking. They open their eyes and they begin to see things. But even then, the world is really upside down in their eyes. The eyes of the baby first few weeks, it's really upside down. Then after that, as the child begins to mature, the mind turns the world, inverted commas, upside up. So now when you look at me, the vision in your head is I'm upside down. But you somehow synchronize or orientate, here I am, upside up, so to speak. But this is the way our mind is conditioned. But if you take a camera, the picture is upside down. Then we give toys to the child, and this child begins to understand what is solid, what is liquid, colors. The consciousness of the child begins to grow. Right? We name things to the child. Right? We tell the child, this is a doggy, or this is a cat, whatever. We use the word. So slowly this child begins to connect. Name and form, name and form. Okay? And then the child becomes more conscious. This is colorful object. This is a sound. Right? The music for the child. Say, oh, twinkle, twinkle, little star. That's a sound. Smell, taste, and so on. Children have this fantastic sense of taste. They can smell. They can smell the mother, so they know they discomfort with the smell. This is a kind of animal level. They can sense it's the mother smell. It's not the mother smell, and so on. And then there are six senses, and we have the six senses. There is sense contact, and there is sense contact, there's feeling, and then you go further down into the other aspects of the dependent arising. Okay. And then we talk about consciousness as a stream, okay, or a stream of particles. In other words, they're all impermanent, and this consciousness, although they appear to be like a stream, nothing is transferred. But except that mind consciousness, after each sense, right? And that presence of mind consciousness gives us the impression of sameness. For example, when you look at me now, there's no abrupt change, very smooth, like a movie, the modern digital movie. Like those old movies, they're called friction flickers, everything kind of flickering. But here you see me as a smooth flow picture. But the reality is, according to Buddhist teachings, you see me in particles of thought moments. Anytime your mind can switch to something else. It's a flow of impermanence. But because this mind consciousness is present all the time, that after each experience of the senses, we have the wrong impression that we are the same person. We have the impression that this is what I am. We have this idea of self and soul. This is a deeper psychological explanation of how the idea of self and soul, self-identity arises. And this is the idea we must break. We have become streamlined. In other words, accept yourself as, I think it's a wave or it's a flow. As particles, everything is changing all the time. Okay? So these are some things we have managed to cover today. Any questions before we close?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to mention two things in our discussion. The first is that it seems to me that there's one operation of consciousness which seems to me doesn't involve five senses. Eye, ear, nose,
And that is?
and that is dreams.
Dreams, okay.
So when you're sleeping, you're not seeing, you're not smelling, you're not touching, you're not tasting, whatever. And yet you get a lot of operation of the consciousness.
True.
You're dreaming a lot of things. Operation of the mind. So I don't know whether that is the right way to look at it.
Yeah.
It is only the mind that is the
Yes, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And so Is that one?
Okay, let me answer the question first. Look at the diagram, page 11 again, the pineapple diagram. So the pineapple diagram would be something like either the first pair or the last pair, like pineapple. Okay, that's the one.
Only the pineapple.
Correct, yeah. Because the mind itself is capable of conjuring all the other 5 senses experience. But of course, they're not real ones. Real in the sense, actually, the senses themselves are working. So the mind can store these memories and then use it like a movie editor, start putting all this thing together in a dream. That's why it is said if you practice loving kindness regularly, you get good dreams. Your dreams quality improve because you are directing your mind to happy memories, positive memories. Okay, so yeah, does that answer your question?
So the mind operates on its own.
Possible.
Five
Possible.
senses.
Yes.
Now, on the opposite side, this is my second point.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing about dreams is that the moment you wake up, you cannot remember what you dreamt about.
If you record it, yeah, you must record it or talk about it.
Mostly, I mean, this is
Yeah.
experience.
Mostly by midday you forget.
What you dream, you cannot recall.
Yes.
Now, on the other side of the coin, this is the second point. This thing called deja vu, which is what
Okay.
I've seen.
Yes, deja vu, right?
So that is in the back of your mind, the recess. Something that you might have seen,
Correct.
maybe even in your past life.
Yes, possible.
And then it comes back.
Yeah, that's possible.
This is
Yeah.
an operation.
Yeah, let me say a few words about that too. Deja vu. Of course, we can say this perception. Because let's say you go to some place, there's a story of a visitor who went to one of those ancient Scottish or English castles. First time, he's gone there, and then he says, "No, there's something behind this wall. Somebody has been buried behind it." And true enough, when they removed the wall, there was a skeleton there. So apparently this person was that person before, something like that. And then there's a monk I knew, a Buddhist monk, who went to Burma. I went to his story, of course, I'm not sure, assuming he's telling the truth. He went to Burma to meditate. The teacher there told him that in the past life he was a Catholic priest. In this life also he started off as a Catholic priest, he gave up Catholic priest and became a Buddhist monk. And then during one of his world tours he went to Rome. And he said that when he went to the catacombs of Rome, those underground tunnels where they buried the dead, people often get lost in this kind of tunnels because they know names, no numbers there, you must know your way. But apparently he says when he went in, he just knew his way around. So he could have been one of those Roman Christians who were eaten by the lions there. You could never know. So okay, these are possible, can be explained to deja vu. But there's something called false memory. For example, let's say you go to a place, this place is very new, and suddenly you have this woozy feeling, I've been here before. But this place was only built recently. So you couldn't have been here before, right? So here the medical people say, what has happened here is you have misjudged the flow of memory. What came first, you switch it around. So what came last was good first, or what came first was good last. Things got a little mixed up. So that can happen too. So we won't know. So the only way is to pursue further and then see what happens. Right? So these are some interesting observations. Deja vu is very interesting. Any other questions or feedback? Alright, so you find this topic is quite fascinating, not easy to follow, so you've got to pay some careful attention. We go deeper as we go along. So we're finished going about syllabus today, it's just nice. So we'll end here then. Let's do a short reflection. Right, once again we have completed this study of some very profound aspects of the Dharma to help us understand ourselves, our minds, to help us in our meditations. All these teachings is to free our minds from wrong ideas, to clear our minds so that we think more correctly, more truly, more happily. Reflecting in this way is very good mental karma. But above such mental karma, through our faith in the 3 jewels, our practice of the precepts,
and many other wonderful directions. May our minds quickly focus, and in this life itself may we attain spiritual liberation, namely streaming. At this point too, let us send our loving kindness to suffuse through this whole area, this temple, to all the people working for this place. May they all be well and happy. And all the beings here too, may they be friendly and safe. Let us send our loving kindness to our loved ones, to all those people we know, even to those inimical to us, and those distant from the Dhamma, that the Dhamma may come to them and bring them true joy and happiness. May all beings be well and happy.